Here's what's to come in this episode of Critical Careers.
It's a creative, really exciting industry, and I just don't think people see that side of it.
Having that community there is vitally important, that everybody shares, everyone's part of the conversation, everyone's voice is heard as well.
If someone starts as a technician on the site, they can eventually, move on to become a site lead, a regional manager, and a managing director. A lot of our senior directors started as electricians.
I think it's really great to amplify these external voices of women, but really what I thought was really important was to amplify our own voices internally as well.
What I really always enjoy in the data center environment is that people are, from their mindset, very open, very collaborative.
The industry is kind of obviously massively growing. There's huge opportunity, but if people can't see what the opportunities look like, they're much less likely to consider it as a career.
This episode of the Critical Careers podcast is sponsored by CBRE, AVK, Evershed Sutherland, JLL, and Mace Construct.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Critical Careers podcast. This week, coming to you from the fabulous French Riviera at Datacloud in Cannes. On this week's episode, I was delighted to be joined by a representative from each of our 6 strategic partners, and they discussed their motivations behind getting involved with the Critical Careers mission. I hope you enjoy it. So I'm delighted to be joined today by Charlotte Wood from Spark Communications and Andrew James from Mace Construct. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Are you having a lovely event?
Good event, yes, warm.
Yeah,
But,
it is. Warm.
very busy, probably the busiest I've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, absolutely same. You have, lots and lots of connections, really busy, gets bigger every year, really worthwhile to visit, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's an excellent place. And obviously, I'm very passionate about it because it's where we launched the original book for Critical Careers. And we're sitting here 12 months on with our 6 strategic partners. We have built an amazing community. So I'm just super, super proud. I'm really excited for the next year. And where are we going to go next year? It's going to be fabulous. But I'm really delighted that you've been able to join me today because I can talk about Critical Careers till the cows come home. I totally understand its mission. But I just wondered it would be really valuable for our audience to get a little bit perspective from you both to understand why you personally and your companies felt it's a good alignment, really. So if I could kick off with you, Andrew, could you give me a bit of perspective there?
Yeah, of course I can. So, we've seen the data center sector really, really expanding. There was a government report out last year which suggested that the online capacity has to grow 8-fold in the next decade. We've already not got enough people and not got enough diversity in the sector. So we have to bring more people in, coupled with the fact that there's lots of problem solving needed, and I think diverse teams are proven to think more laterally, come up with far better ideas.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want. Within Mace, we are driving our own diversity. So we've got over 40% of graduates are female, over 60% from an ethnic minority. But that's just the bottom tier, if you like. So it dovetails really well with what we do as a business. So we're really, really pleased to support.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. And Charlotte, what's in it for SPAR?
Yeah, so for SPAR, we're the leading kind of communications agency for data center and digital infrastructure businesses. For us, it's about portraying the amazing work that, initiatives and platforms like this are doing, and really making sure that the wider audience get to see that as well. Which is really important. And I think a benefit for us as an agency is we get to see a lot of the initiatives and how collaboration is such an important part of that. And Critical Careers, being one of the bigger platforms, it was a no-brainer for us to be a partner. We've kind of been there for the inception of the first book with you, more so behind the scenes, I would say. So we're just super, super excited for you guys and to be a partner.
Well, it's great to have you front and centre as part of in front of the scenes.
Yeah.
But just touching on your point there, Andrew, likewise with this initiative, you do solve more challenges when you have more brains from more diverse backgrounds. You solve more problems. Yeah. So just on that, we talk about it all the time. This industry is facing a retirement tsunami, I believe DCD said. We all know about the skill shortage. But what is the major challenges that Mace Construct is seeing at the moment as an industry?
So I think from a contractor's viewpoint, we are seeing barriers to schemes progressing. So, whether that's, lack of available power, whether that's lack of resource, a really rapid evolution of the sector, and so all of that again, I was coupled as well with a lack of master planning. I think you find a lot of this sort of government policy, even though it has evolved, it's still not really fit for purpose. I think we need a collective voice, if you like, in the sector to influence that in the right way, and that's only going to come in with bringing good people in. So I think it's vitally important that the skills shortage is a route to fixing a lot of the issues that we are seeing, which essentially are stopping projects from getting to site.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on that as well, we have to be conscious that not everyone's going to be the perfect model, ready-made data center professional. We are going to have to be resilient. This industry is built on resiliency, so we're going to have to take that approach when it comes to recruiting to a broader kind of talent pool.
I completely agree. And I think as well, I think we're all doing some really good work in bringing new people in at the start of their careers. And some of the stats I mentioned earlier on, we outcomes of real success with that. But we've got to bring people in at all levels. And that has to really be enticing people in from parallel sectors and other industries. There simply aren't enough people to go around.
No.
If we keep on stealing people off each other, if you like,
absolutely.
we have to bring new people in at
Fresh blood.
all levels, if you like.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the challenge as well.
And I think, SPA, you've done such a great job at helping communicate the opportunities that exist. The whole purpose of Critical Careers was showcasing the breadth of opportunity that there is, no matter what stage in your career that you are. It's not about being a woman in a data center industry, whilst that is who we would like to appeal to. There is a vast array of talent, competency, and that's what we wanted to showcase through Critical Careers, not simply about that. So how do you then speak to a wider audience to address those challenges?
I mean, certainly from a communications point of view, it is that perception of the industry that is the most challenging. I think for a lot of people, it can feel very overwhelming. It can feel very technical and quite inaccessible, actually. So we try really hard to try and demystify some of those myths and promote the variety of roles for men, for women, across the board of skills, right? So again, I think it comes across sometimes that you have to be an engineer or you have to have this degree or that degree, but actually there are roles in marketing, there are roles in HR, there are social media, there's so many creative roles that I don't think people know exist. And it's our job to let people know and kind of welcome people in. And it's an industry that you can be so creative in. It's a creative, really exciting industry. And I just don't think people see that side of it.
No.
And again, this is why something like Critical Careers is just so valuable. And the way you've broken the book into those 3 sections this year, in terms of new people starting in the industry, but also those senior leaders, it's just invaluable for the wider audience to hear and understand.
Yeah, totally. And I sense your passion. I'm so passionate about it. That is the main motivator behind Critical Careers. Is what I don't think is effectively communicated to the outside world is the community that exists. There's so much support and collaboration. Even competitive companies still have that sense of community. We're building for a bigger purpose. We're all part of this journey together. We're passionate, we're proud, we want to do something different. How important is it for when you just start in an industry, that sense of community, that sense of belonging? How have you found that, Charlotte?
I suppose more on the collaboration side, I think we can all agree, to your point, it just builds for a stronger ecosystem. But for me, and certainly at SPA, it's not just about externally coming together, it's really internal as well, and making sure you have those role models internally, not just for those just entering their data center journey, but also for those senior leaders as well. I mean, for one, I learn from my senior leaders, but also the interns, the execs that come in. And I think that is just so valuable. It's an open dialogue between both the external and the internal. And I think it is, certainly for women, maybe focusing on those, having those role models. I was speaking to a colleague about this yesterday, and we kind of used the analogy of female football and how a couple of years ago it was all over the news. And it gave young girls something to aspire to and individuals to aspire to. And I think we as an industry, we need to have those women that are open and happy to talk about the benefits of working in this industry, the opportunity that comes with it, and make it more human. I don't think we've hit the nail on the head yet of being a humanized industry.
No, we're still very much construction,
Yes.
infrastructure, buildings, and then compute, technical, digital.
Yeah.
It is a people-focused business. It doesn't happen
is.
without the people.
No.
AI is not replacing our jobs anytime soon.
No, exactly. And I think that's going to be a big focus for us. It's kind of humanizing the industry more and propelling those senior women to become role models. So when we do back to school campaigns and things like that, and when we try to infiltrate the younger generation,
Yeah.
they can look up to people and have someone to aspire to be.
Absolutely. And Andrew, obviously in your world, you have to have teams, no, you can't be a single entity and work in construction. So how important is building that community for you and ensuring that when you start, whether that's early stage career, mid stage career, they feel part of a community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first of all, recognise, as Charlotte said there, that, the sector, I think, has got a really rich community. There's so many events and so many bits of collaboration you see happening, so many working groups. I think all that's really, really positive. I think just quickly jumping back to then attracting people in, and that for the first part, you've got to have the people for the community. I think we also need to demystify some of the myths about data centres.
Yes.
Use lots of water.
Oh, yes.
Stop housing developments from
Yes.
happening. No, actually, you put one extra housing development, it can help with the heating.
Superchargers.
You know what I mean? So that is all important, I think. But then from a general community point of view, I think another point I want to make as well is we can see there's enough work for all of us.
Yeah.
More work that we can deal with. So
Yeah.
actually, that sort of protectionism thing and said, let's not share.
No.
Let's share and push that.
I
community
mean,
up. That's vitally important.
I don't think there's a day in which any of us are quiet.
Yeah, 100%. But you take that onto a project environment, yes, the community is vitally
Yeah.
important because you've got, such a sort of such a diversity of really junior to very senior leaders.
Mhm.
Some of our projects will have management teams of 80 plus people on them. They're such big projects. So really having that community there is vitally important, that everybody shares, everyone's part of the conversation, everyone's voice is heard as well, because some of the best ideas come from people you might not think have got the experience to get those ideas there. I think that's vitally important.
Yeah,
But I see that lots of times. We're building a hyperscale for one of the big hyperscalers in Acton at the moment.
Amazing.
On that, we've got a great community. This hyperscaler, as I said, is the more complicated project that they're building in Europe at the moment. And actually, we're doing really, really well there. The customer is delighted.
Brilliant.
That's all to do with the community and the culture and the project and the fact that everyone's going the extra mile. Everyone's looking out for each other.
Yeah.
So it's paramount importance.
So many
Absolutely.
cross transferable skills, isn't there, as well, that I found in the industry as well, that again, to the point of community and collaboration, nothing ever really works in a silo.
No, absolutely not. We haven't got the time.
No, right, no, exactly.
We absolutely don't. So well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That has been very insightful. And once again, Critical Careers has just gone from strength to strength, and it is very much because of our strategic partners. So thank you for being a part of the journey.
Thank you.
Thank you. So continuing the conversation now, I'm delighted to be joined by two more of our strategic partners, Alana Wilksch from CBRE and Sarah King from AVK. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
I had a very similar conversation with my previous two guests, so we're just kind of really getting to grips with what motivated you personally and also CBRE and AVK to get involved in the Critical Careers strategic partnership. Could I kick off with you, Alana, just understand our founding partner?
It's just fantastic what you're doing, amplifying women's stories. I think particularly in an industry where it is quite male dominated. Amplifying those stories is so important. And there's so many incredible women in this industry that having that visibility, I think, for like women within the industry, but also those looking to join it. Like we've got such a huge growth trajectory over the next few years. We really need to be able to grow and to attract people from other industries, women and all sorts of diverse backgrounds. So yeah, I think it's really important to amplify that.
Oh, we are so delighted to continue our relationship and help have that reach. So yeah, thank you very much once again. And Sarah, kicking off with you, what motivated you to get involved in the project?
Well, so I'm relatively new to the data center industry, so I've only joined about a year and a half ago now, and I came across Critical Careers, and I was just really excited by the opportunity. I was just really impressed by the work that you've done, like I said, amplifying women's voices and championing women is just something I'm really passionate about personally. AVK is at the beginning stages of its journey when it comes to sustainability and responsible business and social impact. And so why not start at the beginning of our journey with partnering with critical careers? I thought was an absolutely no-brainer. I think personally for me as well, I also saw it as an opportunity to really take it beyond kind of the first phase, which was phenomenal, but actually, how do we actually drive legacy and meaningful community impact? And so, I mean, my background is in social performance. And so I thought, this would be a great opportunity to really help drive that forward.
We do solve broader array of challenges when we have a broader array of minds in the room. And I think that's the thing with critical careers. Now we have the strength of our strategic partnerships. We all bring different mindsets, disciplines, understandings, experiences, backgrounds to the table to really drive impact. And that's what we need to be focusing on next, because without that impact, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to extend the stories that critical careers captures so well. And one thing, there is so many challenges, but from your own individual perspectives, what is CBRE's biggest challenge as an industry-wide challenge that you're facing so far?
I think the biggest one is talent for us. Huge growth is amazing, but it is a double-edged sword. And the challenge of that is having the people. And where do you bring people in from? It's other adjacent industries and trying to retrain. So we really focus heavily on training and development, so that we can broaden the talent pool and bring other people into the industry, but also make sure we hold on to them.
Yeah.
So making sure that we've got development programs, we've got progression. And one of the other challenges with talent and growth is making sure that we can maintain that culture and resiliency on site for our customers. And that is, we can achieve that through making sure that we've got people that have been with the business a long time mixed with newer entrants.
Fresh perspectives.
Yeah, so we have a
Whilst
great
retaining that knowledge.
program,
Yeah.
but you need to combine that with long tenured staff. And so being able to offer those progression paths and promote from within, and that is only achieved through training and development.
Yeah.
So if someone starts as a technician on the site, they can eventually, move on to become a site lead, a regional manager, and a managing director. A lot of our senior directors started as electricians. And I think that's probably where, not just for existing staff, but for women, it's looking at how we can amplify all the different roles that are available in the industry.
Yeah.
It's not just engineering, it's not just construction. It's such a broad array of roles available, and there's so much progression available as well in the arts industry because of that growth.
It's funny because it just dovetails so nicely into our second book, because that's what we really wanted to show is great, there's a lot of visibility, there's lots of different roles, but you can build a really long-term, successful career in this industry. And that's something that I think CBRE can really evidence, So you're a global business. The opportunities are somewhat endless, really, in a company like yours. So Sarah, I know you have been previously on Critical Careers, where you have shared some of your experiences and your insights from your career to date, which is a fascinating conversation. But at the moment, what do you see as the main challenges for AVK in the industry?
Yeah, I think it's quite mirroring what CBRE is also going through. We call ourselves a people business as well. And so I think talent is probably quite a big challenge, but also a really great opportunity, right? So I think even the stories you were saying about having people who have started, kind of all the way from early careers, move their way up, what a wonderful story to be able to tell, and something really proud of the business, something that the business could be proud of, but also that individual as well. And I think those stories and the motive ones are the most powerful. I think for us is, again, yes, I think the people and the talent challenge. So I think it's one thing about bringing people in. We have, something we've established a few years ago with the AVK Academy, which is just right now focused on engineers, but actually we're looking to how we grow that to expand that beyond, STEM careers, for example. And I think that it is also about retention. So having development programs, just like you said, to really amplify and to support the people that we have, because it'd be shame to lose. And I think retention is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
And especially for women as well. And I think a big thing and a really great opportunity is to how we build a more equitable kind of culture for all, but particularly women as well. And so that is thinking about, how to make sure that the policies are equitable and how the culture itself is equitable. And I think that would be quite helpful to be able to strengthen kind of the challenges that we have around retention and talent and bringing people in.
Critical Careers has been shaped massively by all of the contributors that we've had, but also my own personal journey. I didn't know this industry existed. I was supposed to be an actress, but I'm not an actress. And I would have chosen this industry in a heartbeat because I have such a brilliant time. I love the community that we have established. It's a really supportive, collaborative place to be, and I just am inspired every single day. In your own internal companies, how important has that community and that culture that's been established? How important has it been for you in your own personal career journeys?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm new again, so I'm kind of a good example of someone new to the data center industry, and it's really about transferable skills, right? And I think that it's been definitely a bit of a different experience for me being in the data center industry, but I think it's quite an exciting one because, like I said, I think there's so much opportunity for me as a woman, but also, beyond that as well. And I think that it is a really supportive environment, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed, just this year and a half of being involved with the women and being part of Critical Careers. It's been a huge honor of mine. And I think that just the world's really your oyster, isn't it? And I think I work with some amazing women. And I mean, we're a small business in comparison to some others and to ones I've worked with in the past. But I mean, there's the Forum for Women in Data Center. So that's a really great, really good forum.
And it feels like there's enough space for all of us.
Absolutely.
We're not stepping on each other. We're supportive of each other, of these established communities. And I think we're all really committed to protecting it, preserving it, and ensuring that it remains and it retains. That's how I feel.
And we, so we're currently at the beginning stages of it at AVK, but I mean, I think it's really great to amplify these external voices of women. But really what I thought was really important was to amplify our own voices internally as well. So we're in the process of setting up a Women at AVK group, which is like a safe space for women to, be able to influence the business, to make things more equitable for us, given that they are still majority men. So, I mean, I think there's so much opportunity, and I think it's really, really, really exciting.
It is exciting. Alana, what's your perspective on the community aspect?
I think like one of the biggest strengths of women is collaboration.
Yeah.
And this industry, I mean, I think it's like no other when it comes to collaboration. And that could be part of the reason is the growth. I think like there is plenty of opportunity for everyone, but also there's a lot of the projects that we all work on, a lot of the industry, it goes across regions and the globe really. So you do end up collaborating a lot with other suppliers, a lot with other companies. So the industry in general is collaborative, but I think the women's networks that we have within the industry are just so strong. And I joined the data center industry by accident as well about 8 years ago, so it has been a while. But the difference between then and now with the number of women and the energy of the women that I meet now is just fantastic. The configuration's definitely changing, which is great to see. Within CBRE, we have women's networks, but also I think the industry networks groups that we have, both within countries and cross-regionally, are so strong as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me. But primarily, thank you so much for being a part of Critical Careers. I'm really excited to see what we can achieve over the next 12 months. And your insight and leadership will be vital to that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joyce Wady, and I'm your host for the second half of our conversation today here at Critical Careers. I am really pleased to be speaking with Rebecca Klaus from Evershed Sutherland. So Rebecca, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
It's been so fascinating just listening to, kind of the reasons and motivations that everybody has had as individuals and as companies as to why they wanted to be a part of this initiative. So I would love to know from you and from Evershed's kind of perspective, what is it about Critical Careers? Like, why do you think initiatives like this matter right now? And is there anything, specific that has prompted you guys to support it this year?
Yeah, so we're really excited to be part of the initiative. And I think one of the biggest issues is still simple awareness about the sector. People don't really know what the data center sector is or how many different careers sit within it. So what I love about it, the Critical Careers Initiative, is that it makes the industry feel more visible, more tangible. It shows the range of people, roles, backgrounds involved. And I think it's really important in a sector that can still feel quite opaque really from the outside.
Yeah.
And I think the industry is kind of obviously massively growing. There's huge opportunity, but if people can't see what the opportunities look like, they're much less likely to consider it as a career. So for me, that's what makes the initiative valuable. It's around opening the door and giving people a clearer sense of where they might fit in.
And I think that's such a great point because I mean it absolutely with book one was our intention to really try to showcase all the different types of people that work in this industry, because I think that is such an important point. Like the visibility, there's such a perception that these are very much technical roles in this industry, and the reality is that's not true. You're a lawyer, you're a real estate lawyer, you come from a very different background, a very different perspective, yet here you are within this industry as well.
Exactly, yeah. And it's, as I said, it's such an exciting space to be in. It's moving at such a pace, and I think regardless of where your skill set lies and what your interests are, there'll be a role in this industry that would be a great fit for you. So the more visibility that can be on those roles, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think are like some of the challenges that are, that the industry is facing right now?
I think, well, we kind of alluded to it, but one of the biggest challenges is the pace of change in the industry. The technology is evolving incredibly quickly, but the buildings, the infrastructure, the contractual arrangements are designed to last for years. So it's how do you make it an iterative process between all of the parties rather than just a set predefined set of rules that are going to last for the next 15 years. That just doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah.
So the industry is constantly having to think about how to future-proof technically, commercially, physically, and in terms of the skills and expertise that sit around it as well. So I think we need people who can think across disciplines, they can adapt quickly, they're comfortable being uncomfortable, and they're able to make decisions thinking long term, even when everything's moving really, really quickly.
It's such a good point because I mean, that is such a skill set to plan for long term when you have incomplete information as to what long term is going to look like, because there's a very good chance that technology that will be there in 10 years doesn't even exist today, or an early version of it is going to look nothing like it does later on in solving the problems where we are 10 years into the future.
Exactly. Yeah. So we need the people and the skills there now in order to kind of future proof for what might happen next. And there needs to be both the right skill set, but also the right mindset around that flexibility, adaptability, and just thinking outside the box with things.
So just even from your discipline and the perspective that you think about the industry day in and day out, law is always built on precedents and best built on, how things have been done. And how does the legal industry then kind of try to apply that same mindset into an industry like this that does move so quickly and is growing so fast and is evolving at a very rapid pace compared to other industries that are much more stable and consistent over time?
There's a lot more workshopping that happens now in negotiations, which I find really fascinating. So normally, if you look at the standard UK real estate law, well, certainly in England and Wales, hasn't really changed very much over the past however long. If you compare that with the rate of change in the data center industry, things are changing a lot. So it's not like you know what you're going to go into and you know exactly what the product is that's going to be built and there is some nuance to be sorted out. This is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So the negotiations I've been in more recently have involved people from all of the different angles of the sector. You've got the technical people, the commercial people, the people who are actually kind of building the underlying kit to understand how physically it operates, how it might change, how you translate that into legal language that works, and how the allocation of risk and responsibility sits between the parties. And it does really feel like a collaborative approach between all of the different experts in their fields, which I think is just a different way of working, but it's really interesting.
Yeah. And it's kind of, you're segueing perfectly into my next question of, about why is collaboration so important in this industry? I mean, you've given a great example of it, of, having to adapt and like you said, workshop the approaches that you take from a legal perspective. But I mean, in a broader perspective, why is that so important right now?
Well, I think data center projects themselves are just inherently collaborative. They rely on so many people. You've got legal, commercial, technical, construction, operational teams, marketing teams. Everyone's kind of working together, aren't they? And I think no one discipline can ever do its job in isolation, just down to the negotiations on the commercial contracts being around collaboration and workshopping rather than about this is my point, this is your point, where do we get to a middle ground? And I think it's also still it's growing very quickly, but it's still a relatively small industry, and relationships and reputation matter, and people getting on and moving across the sector between different organizations. People pop up in different roles all the time, don't they? So there's a real benefit in getting on with people, understanding how different parts of the system operate, and just growing together to make sure that the industry itself is sustainable and seen well from the outside and has a good market profile as an industry. So yeah, it's good collaboration matters, and it makes the industry, I think, more open and accessible to others coming into it if they see it in that kind of cohesive way as well. And I think that kind of sense of community is one of the things that I really love about the sector as well. I think it makes it welcoming, easier to navigate, and easier to find a route into.
It's such a people-oriented industry. And when you see these thousands of people all kind of descend into one location together, it is a back-to-back, crazy amount of conversations, but it is that time together, that face-to-face time, that building relationships. I mean, that really, really does have such a huge impact. And it's, I think, part of what I would love people to be able to understand better. This isn't like the industry itself is not about the machines in the buildings, in the, on the campuses. Yes, that is the function of it. It's the center part of it, but it's the human part of it, of the conversations that you and I are having, and the conversations that collectively we as an industry have had together at Datacloud last week. That's what makes it's special. That's what kind of gives it a little bit of its magic.
Absolutely. And because it's such an exciting, interesting kind of place to be as well, I think it also attracts a certain type of individual. And I think it's a great bunch of people who are in the industry, and I feel really lucky to be a part of that great bunch of people.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I totally agree. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your thoughts. And we're really happy to have Eversheds be one of our strategic partners for this year. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Martina, thank you so much for joining us here today. I really appreciate the fact that we have JLL as one of our strategic partners this year with Critical Careers.
Excellent. Thank you, Joyce. First of all, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for driving communications around this very important program. And yeah, I'm very happy and see where we are coming with our conversation here today.
Why are initiatives like Critical Careers so important right now? And what has kind of motivated you as an organization to support it this year?
As people know, JLL is a real estate brand, but we are highly active and working in our facility management arm, which is part of our Work Dynamics business, in critical environments. This includes life science properties, laboratories, production sites, and it includes data centers.
Yeah.
And because of that business we are having, and now looking specifically on data centers, it's such a growth areas in some of our key markets. I'm based out here of Germany. Obviously, Frankfurt is one of the FLAP-D market, highly relevant. So yes, it is important that we build a book of business there. As we are a people's company, right? It's all about the people. And that's why it's important for JLL of being part of that critical career initiative and communities. I personally, I'm a big believer we achieve more when we bring experts together, when we put shoulder at shoulder and act as one industry. And that's why we are invested here.
Yeah, yeah. So you had mentioned that, you were involved when you came into JLL, that you have been involved in kind of creating a women's network. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Kind of what does that what does that look like within JLL, and why you were personally interested in making that happen?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Oh, that's one of my favorite topics. I mean, I'm now 26 years in the industry. My background is acting on corporate real estate And this means having always in our portfolio critical environments. Might it be trading floors of banks, might it be data centers, might it be productions line, whatever. And during my career in real estate, and in particular in corporate real estate, I saw that and I counted them, there are not enough women. We are underrepresented, in particular when we start climbing up the career ladders, the higher you get, the less women you see. And that's why it was for me important when I decided in my last career change, joining JLL as a leader here in our German business, but also as part of our EMEA Work Dynamics board, that I said I would like to create an impact where with my, back in the time, 20 years experience, now 26 years careers experience, I want to give back. I want to make it easier for women to connect. I want to ensure that women create one voice, that sometimes as we stand, we might behave different in business environment, and get aware of that, and also ensure and emphasize that to our ladies in business, that this is okay. We can be the best version of ourselves, and we would like to put a spotlight on it, create a network. We run this from day one, from Sweden to South Africa, from Portugal, and back it in time in Moscow in the Middle East. So it was a truly EMEA-wide initiative. It was pure luck that it would during the times of COVID when we started it, because that immediately meant we had a virtual wide outreach. And that was first phase, that we created this EMEA Women Business Network to put spotlight on women in business at JLL, what it means to them in their careers, and how we can promote them during their career path. That we created an environment that we discussed in a safe environment certain, let's say, challenges, but also talked about opportunities and encouraged them. What was important for us, that first of all, we had male allies as part of that. It was never an exclusive show. It was always inclusive for each and every one. And secondly, the second phase of the rollout after the start during COVID, being a pure virtual environment, we then started local subchapters. And we are now very proud that we have 6 local subchapters. And in the Middle East one, in Poland, in the UK, in the DACH region where I'm based, but also in France and in Spain. And they then do local things in their local culture and driving that at a local level.
It really makes a lot of sense then as to why, with that happening within JLL, how critical careers seem to kind of be a very natural tie-in to a little bit broader, expansion of some of those initiatives that you guys are manifesting inside the company as well, too.
Absolutely. I mean, people and culture is for us so important that our people, independent from where they are coming from, what kind of background, what gender, and you think of, that they can be the best version of themselves, and to encourage that is important. Now, going to critical environment, we know that, for example, female tenants are not that often seen there. For known reasons, these kinds of MINT studies, whatever, we can discuss this. But that's why it's important for us to put a spotlight in particular on that sector, because we also would like to make a bigger impact in that field.
From your perspective, what are the challenges that we are facing right now in terms of people and skills, within the industry?
I mean, first of all, it's a growth sector, and in the growth sector with a very limited talent market, I think this is, the critical point per se. And now we have to generate and attract talents from other industries into that sector. So I think this is the first thing, that there's too many roles with too little talents prepared for the roles. That means we need to be actively pulling and talking about the passion and the beauty of that sector. So we are an attractive sector. We also then want to ensure that we are open, and that people in with maybe some other educational background, who are maybe have not had experience in the infrastructure environment, in the data center environment, but they still have an understanding of process management, or they have some technical background relevant. And that's why I think to have a play the attractiveness card of that field, that you in every growth industry, you can build an easier career than in an industry which is shrinking and where people are maybe being laid off. So playing that card, being attractive, and being vocal about it. And that's why we are here today. It's important. What are we doing? We, for example, in Germany have started in JLL what we called a blue collar employer branding campaign.
Okay.
And this was in particular because we would like to attract talents into that sector. In particular, when you talk about technical facility management, technicians, engineers role are very rare. Yeah. We have partnered with a local agency who helped us to verbalize that, picture that, but also go into the right, let's say, sub-markets where those talents typically listen to radio, are active in sports, etc., where we place these adverts. And yeah, this was a good start. We started last year and we have some good success so far.
Yeah. And, I loved in kind of listening to you talk about all those different elements of it, but kind of the fact that you started with the passion and the attractiveness and the passion that people have within this industry. When you see people enjoying what they're doing and you seeing that they're having a positive experience being in the industry, it does make you want to become a part of that too. You don't want to be someplace where people are miserable and unhappy or fearful of, job cuts or whatever. Like if you're seeing people finding success, finding good community, finding good camaraderie within the industry and feeling like they're doing something purposeful, that is going to attract people in. And that is what we want to have happen right now for sure.
Mm-hmm. And what I really always enjoy in the data center environment is that people are from their mindset very open, very collaborative. Everyone is aware we are dealing here with highly critical infrastructure. We need to make this work together. It's less what I would call the blaming game.
Sure.
This was my job, that's your job, Everyone is clear if we operate a data center together, whoever what people's role are, we need to make it work together. And we need to understand transparently what are the processes. How do we go about when a mistake happens? How can we ensure we build in resilience? And this is the beauty of this industry, that the mindset of this industry is very much on a collaborative mindset. There is less of a blaming game. And I think this is a good environment for people to be in and to start a career and to grow their career.
It's so great to see that happen within companies, that sense of collaboration and trying to, roll up your sleeves and solve the problems together, because there are so many problems that we don't even know what the answers are yet, because it's a new, and there's so many new aspects to the industry and it's growing so fast. So that part of it, is exciting. And I think it's a fascinating, place for people to come in. But I also love how that then it gets reflected into the broader industry as a whole, and that how collaborating, and that is such a focus to be able to solve big issues like this.
This is exactly what I mean, that the collaboration mindset is not only within one firm, but with all parties involved in this, on this, let's say, life cycle of a data center, from planning it, building it, operating it, during operations, And this is what I meant with collaborative mindset, ethics, excellence.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Martina, thank you so much for taking the time today to chat with us. Like I said, it's a pleasure to have JLL on board as a strategic partner this year. And I'm really glad we've been able to kind of get your thoughts and your viewpoint and, share a little bit of insight from JLL as to why you guys are a part of the program.
Thank you very much, Joyce. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for your continuous conversation with other participants in this program. And we are very, very glad as JLL is being part of it.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Critical Careers. A special thank you to our founder, KO Data, and to our strategic partners, CBRE, AVK, Evershed Sutherland, JLL, and Mace Construct, for their support in making the Critical Careers Initiative possible.